Hello and welcome to this edition of Ringside Digest. I'm your host Kirk Day, along with my co-host Norbert and Nick Miller. And in this video, we're going to go over the games that happened yesterday, April 22nd. A lot of good games, a lot of overtime, a lot of extra hockey to see. So, that's never a bad thing. But we got a lot of very good games. 3 of these went in overtime. So, we're going to cover them in this video. But before we get started, if you want to see more from us, make sure to subscribe, because we're going to have a lot of content now that the playoffs are rolling. And when the playoffs start to end, we got the draft, we got free agency. So the content is going to be keep pumping out after the playoffs and everything, and throughout the playoffs. So if you want to see it, make sure to subscribe. And without any further ado, we're going to go into our first game of the night, which was the Golden Knights versus the Winnipeg Jets. This was a very, very good game, very entertaining game. And this one, the Jets tied it with 22 seconds left in the game, sent it to overtime, and it went to double overtime. The Golden Knights win this one 5-4 in double overtime, take a 2-1 series lead. But the players of this game, Jack Eichel had a great game. He scored 2 goals, 1 assist. Good to see him doing well in the playoffs. You like to see it after that. The events in Buffalo, we'll say. Won't go much on that. But it was a tough loss for the Jets. They showed resilience throughout the game, but, they just couldn't get it done in double overtime. But they got another game in Winnipeg, so they'll ideally want to see this one get tied up there, go 2-2, heading back to Vegas. But I enjoyed the game. It was very, very entertaining, like I said, and stressful, even though I'm not a fan of either of these two teams. But going to double overtime, no matter who's playing, it still will be stressful regardless. So what do you think about this game, guys? What do you think, Noah?
Yeah, like you said, great game, very entertaining to watch. But deep down, I really think this is the end for Winnipeg. Josh Morrissey went down, and I think he's done for the series. I think I've seen. But I don't think Winnipeg is going to roll over and die, like you said. I think they might squeak a game out in Winnipeg with the whiteout. That atmosphere is unbelievable. But I really think it's going to go back to Vegas, and I think Vegas is going to take over. And I think this is done in 6. Another thing, like you said, Jack Eichel, he's looked great. He's finally starting to look like that player that went second overall in 2015, I think it was. So all the credit to him.
Yeah, I'm definitely it's definitely nice to see the performance from Jack Eichel after, like we said, the Buffalo stuff. He's looking like a real playoff performer. Another playoff performer, Adam Lowry. That guy is playing insane right now. He's playing great. He's what the Jets need on their bottom 6. I believe he's playing bottom 6. I believe he's playing third line right now, if not second line. Why not bring him up if he's playing the way he's playing? But another thing is it's always the unlikely heroes in the playoffs, isn't it? Like if you look at the overtime goal, Michael Amadio, it's great to see the playoff hockey brings out the best in some players.
Yeah, that makes playoff performers Danny Briere, Arturi Lehkonen, those guys who they still were good in the regular season, but they're mostly known for their playoffs play in throughout their career. But yeah, it was a very good game, and like you said, Adam Lowry, he's tied for second in goals on this team, or in the playoffs. Sorry, so he's playing fantastic. But yeah, that was a very good game, very good series. But I can also see, like you said, Noah, Vegas going down and probably taking over the series now that their best defender's gone for Winnipeg. And with our second game that happened last night, the Maple Leafs versus the Lightning, another very, very good game between these two. This one, the Maple Leafs win 4-3 in overtime, and they take a 2-1 lead in the series. It was a very physical game, which is out of character for both these teams, really. Both these teams very skilled, very talented players on this team. They're not much known for their fighting or hitting, but there was a lot of that this game. With Matthews and Stamkos, and you got Kucherov getting the fight, and O'Reilly, a lot of stars getting fighting majors in this one and big penalties. But it was a great game by Samsonov again. After the first game was horrible that he played. Last game was fantastic, and this game is still very good as well. And Ryan O'Reilly came up huge in this game as well. That is, I think, is what they were hoping for. That's what they needed. That's why they went and got him at the trade deadline. Just a bit before the trade deadline. But he is going to be a big part of this team if they do make the second round and keep going, because he has been so far, and they proved that he is what they need in the playoffs. Yeah, and this was also the first time in history that 2 60-goal scorers fought each other, which is kind of interesting. What other situation would that happen than other in the playoffs? So, yeah, but good game regardless. Toronto takes 2-1 lead in this series, and it's going to be very, very good going on as it's been for the past 3 games.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about the Toronto perspective and then the Tampa perspective. For Toronto, Matthews finally stepped up. He finally scored. They absolutely needed that. It's evident how much he means to that team. When he's on, the whole team is under him, and the whole team the whole team hops on his back. 100%. In terms of Tampa, they got to get it together. They were dominant in this game. I think it was scored the first goal, and then the Leafs scored two, if I'm correct. And then they ended up tying it up, and then O'Reilly scored to tie it up. But you can't afford to be losing those dominant games in the playoffs, especially when you're facing a team like the Leafs being so talented that they are. It's going to bite you in the ass.
Yeah, I by no means the Leafs should be walking out of there with a win after the way they played in that second period yesterday. That was I mean, it's good though because it's showing that the Leafs didn't play their best and they walked out of Tampa Bay with a victory in Game 3. So definitely get on the horse for the next game. If the Leafs play that way again in Game 4, they're not coming out of there with a victory. John Cooper won't allow that to happen. Vasilevsky won't allow that to happen. Tampa Stars won't allow that to happen. So they're gonna have to play better. And honestly, we're hoping for a close series here. So I'm hoping we get out of there maybe 2-2 and go back to Toronto tied up because it makes for a better series. But the Leafs definitely could take advantage of an opportunity here.
Yeah, I think the longer the series goes, the better it'll be. Even though it'll be stressful for both fan bases, but for the outsiders like us, I think that we kind of want it to go as long as possible from what's been going on so far
for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, for sure. And with our third game of the night, we have the Devils versus the Rangers. And the Devils win this one, win 2-1 in overtime. Rangers still lead the series 2-1 though, but it was a very, very much needed win for the Devils in this game. Coming back, they couldn't afford to go down 3-0 in this series. But even though the Rangers lost, Chris Kreider scores another goal for his 5th of the playoffs. He's been another player who's been absolutely fantastic. I believe he's leading the league in playoff goals so far. But, I mean, that's very obvious from what's going on with his play throughout the playoffs so far. But I gotta say, as from the Devils goalie, Akira Schmid, fantastic game. 35 saves and 36 shots in his first career playoff start. You can't ask for much more than that against an absolute powerhouse like the Rangers were, or are. I mean, he played fantastic, so that's what the Devils need. I think they need a boost on the back. Vitek Vanacek wasn't playing the best, but he wasn't playing bad. But I think that extra step of the goaltending, solidifying them, stopping what he needs to, that was a huge momentum boost, I would say, for the Devils, and I think that they definitely should go with him for the rest of the series for sure. Yeah. What do you think about that, Noah?
Absolutely. I'm gonna touch on him as well. I thought he played phenomenal. Coming in a relief role almost kind of, but I might be a little bit of an overreaction, but I think he might be the future for the Devils in terms of who's going to be between the pipes there. He, like I said, played phenomenal against a very, very, very tough Rangers team. But I'm gonna talk about the Rangers as well here. I'm not sure how many power plays they had, but they need to capitalize more on their power play. 100%. You got guys, their first line, I think we talked about it in not the previous video, but the video before. I think their first line power play is Kane, Panarin, Zibanejad, all their stars. Adam Fox is in there as well. So, you gotta be capitalizing with those guys on the ice, 100%.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. The Rangers really need to do that to be successful here because they had 5 power plays last night, and they didn't score on one of them. I think that was the difference in the game, is the Devils actually started playing good on their penalty kill, which is very impressive considering who the Rangers are throwing out there at you on every power play, right? So, from the Rangers' perspective, they need to capitalize more. You need, but from the Devils, they need to do what they did last night. They forced the Rangers to go 0 for 5 on the power play. It's a great performance from the Devils. They're going to need that if they want to win more games in this series. Because if you let that power play get going, I mean, that was the difference in last night's game. So if you let that power play get going, you maybe don't come out of there with a win. You go down 0-3.
Yeah, that like you said, that's a perfect explanation of what the Devils need to do. They got to keep doing what they did last night. If they do that, the series might change around, and hopefully it does for my bracket's sake. But I really don't care about that overly. I just want a good series between these two. And so far, like I said, it's been exact same as Tampa and the Lightning, or Tampa and the Maple Leafs. Been a very good series so far, and we just want to see it go as far as possible for our entertainment's sake. But for the final game of the night, we had the Avalanche versus the Kraken. Now for this one, Climate Pledge Arena was rocking for the first ever home playoff game for the Kraken, but they didn't come out with the victory. The Avalanche win this one 6-4. Colorado takes a 2-1 series lead. But in this one, the Colorado Stars were the difference maker in this game. McKinnon scored 2, Rantanen scored 2, and McCarr scored 1. There's not much you can do about that if you're the Kraken. All those guys, they're probably top 10 in the league, all 3 of them on the same team, scoring 5 of the goals against you in a playoff game. So that you can't really blame this one on the Kraken. It's just the Avalanche had an on night. That's pretty much it. You got to feel for the Kraken, especially their first home playoff game, but it is what it is. It's all you can do. I get, especially with those guys, like I said, scoring on you. But this is going to be an interesting series because the Kraken came out in the first game, got a big win. Colorado's won the last two. So we'll see what happens from here on. I think it could probably get another game in Seattle, but we'll see. I like the series so far. It was a good game. Been a good series, like I said. For the rest of them, there hasn't been a bad series this year. So, yeah, I like it. What do you think about it, Noah?
Yeah, like you said, Seattle is an absolute amazing atmosphere. I stated in a couple of videos about being a Seattle Seahawks fan, if you can tell right here. But they're the whole sports scene over there in Seattle is phenomenal. Their fans are dedicated. Their fans are very supportive. So it's just great to see. For a team everybody to kind of root for a new team in the league. But in terms of the Avalanche, McKinnon finally stepped up as well. Like in terms of talking about Matthews and McKinnon both stepping up, or Matthews in the Tampa series. But if it seems like he's finally found his groove, which is absolutely huge for the Avalanche. He's their star player, and he's kind of their leader, and he's probably their leader now with Landeskog being done for the year. So it's massive for him to step up. Another thing, I don't know if you guys seen Cale Makar's goal was amazing. I wasn't paying attention to the game, but I was, kind of had it on, scrolling on my phone, kind of, doing whatever. And I seen Cale Makar rip an absolute rocket from the point, and it went bar down. And I shot up out of nowhere and was just amazed.
Yeah, no, Cale Makar is he's a next level defenseman in this league. There's not a player like Cale Makar. Now, that being said, Erik Karlsson did have a better year this year, but my God, Cale Makar is just something else to watch. From my bracket standpoint, Colorado, this is what I thought would happen. I knew the games were going to be roughly even because Seattle does have a really depthy team, but the star power stands out, right? Like we said, they from their stars in that game, they got everything they needed, and that's what needs to happen for the Avalanche to really pull away in this series, because this game, other than that, was pretty even. The shots were very even, the hits, face-offs, everything. Everything was roughly even, except for the fact that the Colorado has those difference makers on their team, that Seattle maybe doesn't have, at least yet. They still got a young team over there. They got some depthy players. But another thing for Seattle, if they want to even this out, they've got to capitalize more on their power play as well, because they went 1 for 6. You get 6 power plays. You really got to capitalize on that power play if you want to catch up to the Avalanche here.
Yeah, and I believe that I've seen a quote from McKinnon. I'm not sure if this was about this specific thing that we're talking about, but he said that this was by far the hardest series he's ever played, which is saying a lot from winning the Stanley Cup last year. So I don't know if he was thinking right there, but I believe he did say that. So that's something that's pretty interesting. That kind of shows how good Seattle's been playing against this. Yeah. I mean, the former champs. So yeah, that's pretty much all we have for this one. Now, the games are already underway, so I'm not going to go over them. We'll go over those in tomorrow's video. But if you like the video, make sure to give a like and make sure to subscribe, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you want to see more content from us going throughout the playoffs. Draft lottery's coming up soon, draft afterwards, and free agency. So it's going to get really exciting after the draft, or after the playoffs, sorry. But yeah, if you want to see it, make sure to subscribe, and thank you for watching.